What's up, guys? Welcome to my first video of 2019. I'm sorry for the long break. I hope you guys had a wonderful holiday season and that 2019 is treating you well so far. I thought it might be fun to do a little Let's Play on one of my favorite old games, and we're going to do a little chat about game dev and the projects that I'm working on as
And
well.
so our story begins.
So I haven't played this game in years, and when I loaded up one of my old games, some of these characters that I made have literally billions of gold. So I started up a new character, and I played through the little demo part, and we're just going to go ahead and pick up as an adult because, nobody wants to watch the demo stuff. And I thought I might talk about why this is one of my favorite games, and then we'll dive into how it is inspiring and sort of informing my design decisions on the game that I'm working on. So not related to game development at all, but one of the things that I love about this game is that it's one of the only RPGs, the only RPG that I know of, honestly. Most people are familiar with the medieval fantasy, sword and sorcery type stuff that, your Dungeons and Dragons style setting, but this is more Victorian fantasy, and I think it's very cool how it's not quite industrial the way that Fable 3 is, but it's on the cusp of the industrial age. And anyone who knows me knows that I am obsessed with Victorian England. My undergrad thesis paper was on Oscar Wilde, so it definitely appeals to my sensibilities. Good dog. It's actually super cute because that looks exactly like my dog. So another thing that I really enjoy about this game is just its simplicity. I know that a lot of people hate the sort of binary morality choices, and that's not something that I'm particularly fond of myself. But I do enjoy the level up system. It's not as robust as some other video games or pen and paper RPGs for that matter, but I feel like every perk that you unlock actually means something because there's a sort of tangible difference. Um, when you level up one of the minor perk trees in Skyrim, it really doesn't. You may or may not notice it. Sometimes it's a critical hit, and you might not even land a critical hit for the next 6 or 7 hours playing that game. Everything that you do in Fable tends to be uh, more influential, at least in terms of the. Oh, yep, no, I definitely can't afford that. And so I really like the simplified level up feature, and I know that to a lot of people it's like, dude, are you serious? It's so juvenile. It's totally whack. And as much as I enjoy the sort of in-depth level up process of a game like Skyrim, I really enjoy a game that you can pick up and play. It's one of the reasons that I like Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition so much compared to when I first started playing Dungeons and Dragons, it was 3.5, which if you guys play Dungeons and Dragons, you know that is a really complicated system, and I needed help from the DM pretty much every step of the way. Every time my bard leveled up, he had to sort of show me exactly what to do. And I'm not the kind of person that likes to power game. I'm not a munchkin. I don't do the most optimal thing always. I kind of just do what's fun, which yeah, I'll be a gunslinger.
You bought a fine item.
Even though I clearly have a crossbow. So moving on from that, one of the things that I also enjoy about this game is the fluid style of combat. I love Skyrim as much as the next guy, but this game almost feels like a hack and slash, like a Devil May Cry type game. The way that you can transition from, I mean, just right there, you can see the way you can transition from melee to ranged to magic. And I feel like that gives you so much more flexibility. It's less, it doesn't break up the flow of combat as much as when you're in Skyrim and you take out an enemy with a sword, and then you have the option of, say, equipping a sword in one hand and a spell in the other, but aside from that, you're going to have to use hotkeys. You're going to have to, pause the game, stop it, open up your spell list, pick the spell that you want. You can favorite the spells, of course, and I know most people do, especially PC gamers. But I'm a console kid, so, leave me alone. But yeah, so I like that you don't break from combat when you are playing any of the Fable games.
Father, the sacred texts clearly say that only 2 monks may enter the cave, no one else.
Ah, hello there, my child.
Can I just accept the quest and go, or...
Brothers, leave us.
Now, another one of the downsides
Let me take a look at you for a moment.
to Fable is that your conversation options are extremely limited to, hey, I can do a chicken dance, but I can't tell him what I actually want to do.
You must go forward if you're to find the pilgrim. You must gain the abbot's favor. Perhaps you can find a way to impress him in the town. Use your map to see where quests and jobs are.
Alright, let's see what we got on the quest list here.
Let no man be
Alright, where am I going? I remember when this game first came out, they talked about they wouldn't have a mini-map, and they wouldn't have a way of finding your quests. You would have to rely on your dog, which I thought was cool. A lot of people were kind of nervous about that and thought, oh my gosh, how am I gonna keep track of this dog? But it turned out that they added this weird sort of sparkle trail that leads you to where you need to go. I was hoping I could get... I'm not a big fan of the blunderbuss. I was hoping we could get some kind of rifle. No matter.
always look out for sales. You never know when I'll put one on.
Oh, so there's our sparkle trail. There it is.
Oh dear, oh dear.
I see.
How could this happen?
And the aesthetics of this game are fantastic. I
Down it goes.
love the design of the characters. The assets in the game are just beautiful. I love the sort of slightly distorted proportions of everyone. So that's another reason that I love this game so much.
These villains are a dangerous lot.
Okay, I don't need to listen to all that. But it is a rich game with lots of diverse characters. You've got the fact that you could marry and have children in this game before you could in any of the Elder Scrolls games. So that's they were kind of the first in terms of you could buy houses and decorate them and all that kind of stuff. And I know those seem like very you know, it's not really a feature of the game. It's not gameplay related, but those things were implemented into Skyrim later on, and you know, I think that you'd be doing a disservice if you didn't credit Fable with inspiring some of those features, because you definitely couldn't marry anybody in Morrowind. You couldn't build a house in Morrowind, and Morrowind is my absolute favorite game. So as we go in here, let's talk about what from this game and some of these other games that I've mentioned is going to go into my game. So I'm working on a fantasy RPG, and I would say that the vertical slice, the sort of playable demo that I will have available for free on my website, is about 30% done. We've got the core combat kind of developed, but there are some other mechanics that I'm going to talk about right here that I don't have ready yet. Now, oh. I remember how to block. I just know that blocking is going to come in handy when we get up here. It's not that. Yep, here we go.
I usually like to... Back! And you want me money as well?
Yeah, I'm taking way too much damage.
Care much for him, but you're still gonna pay. Take him up! You're not gonna kill me, are you? Come on, it's all a mistake.
So, reading from my game document here, one of the features that I want to, and have already sort of, for the most part, incorporated into my game is this fluid style of hack and slash combat. You know, kind of like Devil May Cry, you can switch between ranged, melee, and magic combat with ease.
You think you're gonna catch
Oh,
me?
there goes
Why
Dash.
do you think they call me Dash? Stupid! How could I run the guards before I was out of nappies?
And so, like I said, that's something that I want to, and have done a pretty good job so far of building into my game.
You can't hide from me. Nobody kills a bandit and lives to tell the tale.
I completely forgot how to block in this game. Now, I also, as I mentioned before, I do want to have sort of a simplified level up tree. I might reduce the number of attributes, you know, if I'm sort of inspiring this game based off of Dungeons and Dragons, you know that you have 6 ability scores. I'm probably going to go with 4, and that way it'll be a little easier. I'm probably going to go with something like Brawn, which will control the amount of melee damage you do and the total amount of health that you have. I will probably do a Reflexes skill, and that will control, you know, your ranged attack damage as well as your evasiveness, so the chance your enemies have to hit. Let's see. Then we'll probably have like a Wisdom or a... Oh, don't have enough keys. Although it might be cool to call it Psionics instead of Wisdom or Intelligence. Something real cool. But that will control the amount of magic damage that you deal as well as your resistances to certain types of damage. So, you know, if you are attacked by a mage or something like that, you'll...
You ready for some slaughter and laugh? Don't you stand there! Take cover!
Man, these guys can't shoot for diddly. But yeah, like I said before, I do enjoy a simplified progress tree, and that's what I'm going to be going for once I get the level up system built. Now, this is something that is inspired by other games that this next feature that I want to build into the system. This is the one that I'm probably struggling with the most. Is I want to have a party up feature similar to Knights of the Old Republic or Mass Effect. I do really enjoy the tactical aspect of being able to control your party and give them instructions, which you could do in Mass Effect more than in Knights of the Old Republic. But I want you to be able to select your party, and I want you to have more than just 2 followers at a time. So, if I'm developing this game to be played with a gamepad, you're likely going to have 4 shoulder buttons. I haven't mapped out the controls just yet, but if you have 4 shoulder buttons, I feel like you have an opportunity to have 4 followers. And so one of the things I'd like to do is maybe create 2 classes of follower, like a heroic follower, you know, you're kind of singular characters that are just super powerful, and then maybe minion type followers, and those will come in packs of 3 or 4, and you can give them commands. But one of the sort of features that I'm working on right now with that is how to, well, I've got the in-game pause feature set, but I don't have the camera change and the cursor control so that you can actually instruct your follower to attack a particular enemy. So that's something that I need to work on. And each of these followers will have their own sort of special ability, but it's not going to be like Mass Effect where you've got, say, Liara, for instance, who has all of these, all the biotic abilities where you have to kind of scroll through and choose what you're going to do. Like I mentioned about Skyrim. Oh, there we go.
Well done. Your actions continue to shape the world.
Like I mentioned about Skyrim, I don't want to disrupt combat too much, and so I really want it to be as simple as you hold a trigger, you switch to the camera view of the party member that you have assigned to that trigger, and then from there, you just pick one of maybe 2 or 3 options, and so each character is going to have one specific special ability that is unique to them, and that'll kind of inform your choices as far as who you're going to take with you and whether you're going to take a heroic character or a party character. I figure I might as well dress up like a bandit if I've got the bandit gear. Now, another thing in Fable that I really want to build into my game is the sort of dynamic, interactive world. Especially in Fable 2 and 3, the decisions that you make really change areas. And the way I think I'm going to achieve this is just using a simple state machine script that, whenever you enter a new area, certain parameters will be checked to determine what decisions you made and affect the area in that same sort of way. It doesn't sound like it's going to be too complicated. Again, this is a feature that clearly I have not built in just yet, but I mean, it's probably not something that's going to be in the playable demo, but perhaps when I finish the game, that's definitely going to be one of the features that I want built in, because it's something that kind of cheesed me off when I was playing Morrowind, is when you're revealed to be Nerevar Reborn, yeah, you get the random dialogue options from NPCs that say, "No, you're not Nerevar. You're drunk. Stop taking skooma," and that kind of stuff. But nothing really changes. I mean, yeah, some of the NPCs are gone, like Amalexia and Vivek. They're dead, but it doesn't change anything about the world. And same goes for Skyrim. You know, at the end of the day, sure, if you kill Ulfric Stormcloak, it doesn't really change Windhelm at all. It's the same shoddy town. So one of the things that I really like about the Fable series, at least Fable 2 and 3, there's not so much of this in Fable 1, depending on whether you do something good or evil determines what that area is going to look like the next time you visit there. You know, I think Old Town in Fable 2 is the best example. If you sort of follow the good path as a child, then Old Town is, you know, yeah, it's still poor, but it's not a rundown slum. Whereas if you do all of the evil decisions as a child, then you come back and that section of town is owned by thugs and murderers. So that's something that I kind of wanted to build into the game once it's finished. Again, this is probably not something that's going to go into the playable demo, but it's definitely a feature that I want in the game. Now, another feature that I'd like to build in, and this is kind of tying back to that same point, is, and this isn't from Fable, this is more inspired by Mass Effect Andromeda, as terrible of a game as that was. I would love to have sort of an ambiguous morality system, as opposed to, you know, your renegade paragon or good, evil, that sort of thing. I really want to... There it is. Good boy! Good boy! So, for those of you that played Mass Effect Andromeda, you know that you didn't have Renegade Paragon. You had these tonal choices between emotional and logical, or casual and professional. But if you played through the game, you know that those decisions didn't matter. First of all, it didn't really affect what your character was saying. You might say, oh, well, I want them to sound logical and professional, and then it turns out that they just come off sounding like a dick. It's terrible. So I want to build that same sort of system where you have more than just your binary good or evil option, but I want it to be more effective than what they did in Andromeda. Andromeda was just what a train wreck.
Ah, the hero returns! A stupendous success! Jolly well done. Of course, turns out those deeds weren't entirely genuine, so the toll thing isn't going to work out quite as planified. Still, at least it's not me who has to rebuild the bridge now. Okay, so I might be broke, but I'll bounce back. Always do. Anyway, here's my trusty thesaurus, as promised. You never know when you'll be caught in a lexicological quandary.
So that's it, as far as features go. Now, if you want to know sort of where... You probably guessed that this is going to be a fantasy RPG. I don't know exactly what setting I want to go with yet. Some of the levels that I've built so far are more inspired by... they're more inspired by, like, Prince of Persia, and they're very Egyptian in their aesthetic. But I don't know if that's the direction I want to go just yet. Man, is there anything that I can do? Okay, I need more renown. I don't think I would survive on Knothole Island.
Children play.
So yeah, I might go with either an Egyptian fantasy setting like the 2008 Prince of Persia, which was a fantastic game, by the way. You know, it was so much... I know that a lot of people didn't like it, but A, I liked the animation style in there, and B, the mechanics between the prince and Elika was just awesome. The way that you had to use Elika's magic to kind of weaken enemy defenses and then
With a few
beat
more
down on
deeds
them.
like that,
It was such a
the abbot
cool
will have no
gameplay
choice
mechanic.
but
If
to
it was
accept you
something
as
that
escort.
I thought that I could do, then I might consider doing it. Oh, hey, there we go. Some force push. See, now if they made a Star Wars game with this sort of combat, that would be very cool. And for some reason, I've got Knights of the Old Republic on my brain as well. I think I'm just in a nostalgic mood, you know, playing Fable and Knights of the Old Republic. And of course, with Resident Evil coming out this month, I'm so excited about that. I love the Resident Evil series, and Resident Evil 2 was definitely the best one. That was the one that got my brothers and I into the series, just watching my older brother play because I was terrible at those games. It was awesome. So there's definitely some nostalgia factor at work because they really don't make games like these anymore. You know, I hate to sound like an old curmudgeon, but seriously, I'm so tired of Royale and, you know, this just everyone wants to play, or well, everyone wants to play, everyone wants to make some stupid online battle arena game or some first-person shooter. I'm not a big fan of Overwatch, so, you know, give me my old school RPG. And, you know, that's, I think what inspired this whole project is that I'm sitting here saying, man, I really miss the games that I used to play. And so, since nobody's making them, I'm going to make one myself. And if you're with me, then you'll probably enjoy it. So, much in the style of Fable, the protagonist that you play as, that's something I also forgot to mention, is that I don't think I have the chops to design my own character creation system, you know, a la Skyrim or Mass Effect or something like that. You will have the opportunity to choose your character's race and gender. Well, accept the quest. Jeez. All right, I don't need to hear all that. So yeah, you will have the opportunity to choose the race and gender of your character, but just due to the nature of the story, similar to how in Fable you really don't get to pick a whole lot of your character's backstory. They are who they are. They are, well, in Fable 2 you're kind of that orphan from the slums. In Fable 1 you don't even get a choice of gender. You're just the boy. But you will be playing as a villager whose village is struck by a blight. And, well, not to give too much of the game away, but let's just say there's an evil presence that corrupts the land, and you kind of have to travel from area to area and sort of cleanse the blight. And you will actually end up having, the art of seduction. You will have moral choices to make. Well, I say moral choices, but it's really, you know, like I said, it's going to be more ambiguous than that. So that there will be a finite supply of the resources that you use to cure the blight in these areas. And there are going to be some shortcuts that you could take that might, you know, hurt those around you. There's definitely going to be some other motivations that you may want to use those expendable resources. I know I'm being very cryptic here. I have this stuff written down, but I don't want to kind of give away the entire plot of the game. But suffice to say that, again, there's going to be an expendable resource that you can use to cleanse areas or leave them uncleansed and use them for other reasons. And once you've done that, it will affect not only the way that the world looks, you know, like I said, you'll have this dynamic sort of interactive world, but it will also sort of affect your standing in the eyes of the NPCs. for good or better. You know, there might be some people that are happy that you are leaving certain areas of the world corrupted. Here we go. This is what I was looking for.
You really do deserve a discount. Just don't tell anyone.
So we got 1,000. Oh no, it's only 479. Well, I can definitely pick that up.
That's
Equip
a
that,
deal.
and let's go ahead and get an iron katana as well. Can I afford it? Yeah. And we'll sell the
Regret spending so much?
broken stuff that I've got.
Really worth it. Always happy to buy your unwanted goods. If it's potions you need, come and see me. All right,
Oh, I thought that girl had no head. So yeah, that's really all I was going to share with regards to the development of my game. Like I said, it's about 30% done. I've got most of the art assets that I'm going to need. I've got the core combat figured out. I haven't figured out the I've got followers that will come around and help you bash enemies, but as far as giving them orders, I haven't figured out that mechanic just yet. But I'm kind of working on this thing solo, and you know, if you follow the channel, you know that I'm working on probably a dozen things at any given time. I don't think that I have ADHD, but because you know I can focus on something for hours, but I think I have project attention disorder. I feel like I start a new project every 15 minutes, and yeah, they just kind of.
I didn't see you
I make
there.
progress when I make progress.
Isn't it amazing? All these people, they look so happy, don't they? I'm sorry. Don't mind me. My name's Alex.
So I think this is one of the moral
I'm
decisions
sure
that
you're a
you
really nice
make. I
person,
think
but
you can either
I'm not
seduce
really
Alex
much
and
to
marry
talk
her,
these days.
or you can do what the guy asks.
I'd go to the shops now.
Of course, in Fable, you can pretty much do whatever you want. You could take her out to the woods and kill her. I think that was one of the sort of evil things that you can do in the first Fable is you just basically clear out your hometown by going through asking people to walk away with you and then murdering them. Rejection note? What is that? No. Okay, but how do I use these?
I was there yesterday, and they were starting to run out of stuff.
Alright, where are we at
It's the
here?
greatest game in Albion. Well, it's pretty good anyway.
I hear you're not too handy with an axe when it comes to chopping wood.
Da-da-da-da-da-da. That's not really seductive, but you know.
Really
Hey.
quite wonderful. Oh, that's nice.
Let's give her the
Pretty good.
fist pump. Tiger Woods style.
Excellent. Brilliant. Great.
Yeah, most of the
Great. Good
of the
stuff.
romantic companions in this game are pretty easy. You just kind of stand in front of them and pose for a little bit, and
Need a distraction from
Oh,
your
how
problems?
marvelous. Yeah, good. That's good. Great.
Oh, I did.
Not
now I
bad,
will say that's
fine.
something that I have
Good.
not
Amazing.
quite figured out yet is
I hope I never see that again.
you know,
You're
whether
always
the
right.
game will be entirely voice acted. I mean, I'll definitely voice act some of the NPCs, which should be fun for you guys that
I mean that.
wait, how is that seductive? You know, I give all of my Dungeons and Dragons NPCs voices for my players, just to give them a sense of immersion and to kind of be able to tell people apart. I know that, you know,
Excellent.
a lot of dungeon masters don't have the ability to do accents and do funny voices and stuff like that, but I think that it's worth it because it allows you to
Not bad.
it gives your players a way of keeping people
Good stuff.
kind of straight in their heads. They know who's who.
It's true. I'm just the luckiest woman in the world. I never thought I'd find happiness again. I never thought I'd deserve it. There's
something I've never told you.
I almost got married once before. He was a sweet boy, but we were both so young. Too young. I got scared and ran away the day of
I
the
also
wedding.
wish that you could flirt with people
I hurt
without
him so
flirting with the
badly.
entire
He took his own
tavern.
life. I've carried that guilt with me all these years, never dreaming I could love again. Until I met you.
What's the... Screw it. Let's marry her.
Oh, you. You're not a real bandit, are you? You ever come across a boundary?
Do I have a wedding ring? Of course I don't. Oh, shoot. I gotta go buy a ring. Man, am I really that busted looking? I don't have any scars yet. Oh, where's my papa? Where'd the dog go?
Amazing. Pretty good. Quite wonderful. Pretty good.
Please tell me you guys saw that.
There.
She was like halfway through the
Again.
floor.
Can't have any now.
Alright. So where's the gift shop here? What's... Alchemist. I wasn't kidding when I said I hadn't played this game in years. I have no idea where anything is. So we got the pie trader. I don't think that's gonna do it. Furniture seller.
You think they realize how
shops
bad
are
that
now.
hat?
Perfect.
I'm sure you'll find something you like.
You gotta love the sense of humor in this game too. If you take the time to actually scroll over and read some of these descriptions, just hilarious. Yeah, I think I'll give her something better than that. Perfect.
That's a good buy.
Closing.
Where'd she go here?
Shops closed
It would be
until
so
tomorrow.
nice if we went somewhere together. Wonderful. Absolute.
Where does she like to go? Oh, she likes to go to the clock tower.
Brilliant.
Where is that
Okay,
right here?
let's
That's right
go.
here. Okay.
You're no one without an
We'll take her to the
interesting
clock
name.
tower and
Yes, yeah. Pretty fine. You've got rhythm.
You should see the
You
guard
are the
applications
centre of
these
the
days.
universe,
They want you to
honey.
read and everything.
We're
Who's that about?
engaged.
I want.
College boys patrolling the streets.
We're going to need a roof
Oh,
over
whoops.
our heads before we tie the knot.
I guess we'll live in the gypsy caravan.
Our crime solving rate in this precinct is down. But you ought to sharpen up. We're here to serve.
I've seen much better houses.
Bowerstone's best products.
I was almost terrified, but not.
Sorry.
Ah! No! No!
Keep moving it on.
So as I ride off into the sunset, I think that's where we're going to call it. Thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this little stream. I might do some more Fable 2 game dev and chats. And if you want to see more of the progress on the game that I'm making, let me know down below in the comments. As always, I appreciate you guys watching, and let me know what you think. Hit subscribe if you're liking the content so far, and I will catch you guys later.